So the kingdom's offer of a peace initiative in 2002, in my view, still remains the most viable and the most doable proposal that has come about between Israel and the Arabs since the dispute began several decades ago. And it's on the table. It has never been taken up by Israel. They've had several governments since it was put on the table. But all those governments have not yet said yes, and hence my question to Zipi Livni in Munich. And the general has promised to answer my question, and I hope he does. But it is there, and it's for anybody to look at. There's nothing under the table agreement or underhanded or secret clauses to it. It's up front. The Arabs will recognize Israel diplomatically, normalize relations, end hostilities, in return for Israel withdrawing from all the lands that it occupied in 1967. The Arabs went further than that when they met with Mr. Kerry to help him restart the negotiations between Mr. Abbas and Mr. Netanyahu, and said that they'd be willing to accept land swaps along the border of 1967. So this is where it stands, and yet there is no response from the Israeli government on that specific proposal. And I think if we want to go ahead after Mr. Kerry's efforts, it should be on those terms. We've tried everything else, and it hasn't succeeded.
I also join my colleague in very much appreciation to the efforts done by Secretary Kerry in the last 9 months. And the problem is that my assessment of the process have been from the very beginning that the chances of him to succeed is very low. Sometimes people ask me, what is the chances of Kerry to succeed, to reach a comprehensive peace? My answer was, it's like if you, David, the chances that you will win the lottery if you haven't bought a ticket. So where we are going from here? We must go for here in a different paradigm. The paradigm of reaching a full comprehensive agreement is very difficult and unachievable as long as the two leaders in both countries cannot lead their people to do the necessary concessions needed. And there are 3 very difficult concessions that each side should do. On the Israeli side, it's the two-state solution recognition instead of, the bigger Israel. It's based on 67 border with swaps and partition of Jerusalem. 3 very, very tough concessions that go against the history of our people, the beliefs of our people, the political position of the main parties, and our historical narrative. Palestinians has to do 3 tough concessions. Recognize that this is the end of conflict and finality of claims, that the Palestinian refugees will return only to the Palestinian state, and have some limitation on their sovereignty for security. I don't see the two leaders doing these concessions, and this is basically the tragedy of the peace process. So we have to look for a plan B, for a different paradigm, which will bring the sides closer, that will make the chances of having another bloodshed lower, and will wait maybe for a different time. And I am not avoiding the Arab Peace Initiative, because I promised to answer. We have no problem with the Saudi Peace Initiative. It was a very good initiative. The real problem was that the Saudi Peace Initiative became the Arab League dictate in 2002 in a summit in Beirut. What the Saudis have published was modified to be a take it or leave it kind of offer with parameters that we cannot accept. Mostly in the issue of returning the Golan Heights to the Syrians. And you may think how we would have felt today if what's going on in Syria were in the Golan Heights and the issue of the refugees. I do encourage the Saudis to go back to their original plan and to make it a basis for negotiation on the principles that I just described, and I think they are very similar to the Clinton principles and to Kerry framework that unfortunately Abu Mazen even refused to discuss it with your president on March 16 in his visit in the White House.
Over the floor, and I want to ask each of you to speak about this terrible situation that is on each of your borders.
Would you like some?
I'm going to say no, but I'm going to salute the gesture by General Yadlin. If we can drink water together, what isn't possible?
You should salute me for taking it from there.
I salute both.
Thank you.